We want to take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back for questions. Yeah, wow. That was, I liked how you went step by step. So again, we're on that journey with you with the whole succubus. Anyone got any questions? I thought it was interesting in that.
Yeah, I have questions.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so Keith, did you want to show slides or did you want to take questions here?
We can take questions. I want to have this picture up if I can see it. Because this is a recent story. Joyce knows of this because I emailed her last week. But I'll take questions and insert this one into somebody's question.
Okay, so yeah, let's go back to the mist sprayed over your face, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel that like on your forehead or on your eyes or I think you described it as being maybe on the lips or whatever, but I mean, was it like a cobwebby type?
No, it was all over my face. It's like mist that you would spray from a spray bottle, or mist that somebody would spray on you if they were to, drink a cup of water and then shoot mist out of their mouth at you. Um, but it was definitely all over my face. It was
All over your
forehead,
face.
eyes. Yeah, it was 90% of my face.
Okay, so I guess the question that came to my mind was, have you ever heard of ectoplasm?
I'm familiar with the term, yes.
Okay, so my understanding is that physical mediums would exude some sort of like moisture-like material from their body that could
Mhm.
be crafted and formed into whatever shape the spirit entity wanted, and then when the physical manifestation was over, it would somehow be drawn back into the body of the medium. And I was just wondering if you felt like any of this moisture or whatever was actually like, first of all, coming from you, and secondly, did it ever like evaporate or vanish or whatever, like as if it were maybe going back inside you? In other words, maybe these entities have a way of like extracting uh, moisture from your body, or say, let's say that, but then then it goes back in. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the mist, how I remember it vividly is it definitely came from them.
It came
It
from
came
them.
from them. Um, it's wet, obviously. It wakes you up. And I don't view the. It's weird. So I've come to because I've been going through this for now 4 years. This is 4 years now of going through this. So I got more of, it's hard to remember waking up from everything. There's some sort of, hey, we got to wipe your memory after all this is done, or leave you with partial memory. But I've taken pieces of each incident, and the miss happens very infrequently. But when it does happen, um, it wakes me up. See, the succubus, they never shoot mist on me. This other entity um, mounts me, makes his way above me, it just shoots this mist on my face and then it's gone. Now, I'm going to rewind backwards because there was one, this is when I was newly in the home, when I just moved. And I rarely get sick. I'm one of those people who rarely get sick. Okay. I have a zero call in sick at work for the last 10 years. I rarely get sick. But when I do, I get sick. When I'm sick, I'm sick. And when I'm sick, I'm usually down for a week. And it's usually a flu or cold or something. But if I am, I'm pretty much down for about a week. There was one morning I was in my bed. I'm sick. I got a cold. I'm sniffling and all this. And I've always wondered, even while living in the Bothell house, you know, because the minions who are poking and prodding me, I'm wondering, do they bother you when you're sick? Do they, I mean, they seem to never care, be it sick, holiday, birthday. They seem to not care about your life suffering. They're opportunists. But I've never been sick, so I don't know. Well, now I'm sick, and I'm sick. So when I'm sick, I'm bedridden, and I was nervous because I'm like, oh man, I'm bedridden, I'm sick. They're going to have a field day with me now because I'm bedridden. I got a fever, can't move, and it's going to be open season. Keith is sick. Let's really pile it on him now. Well, one morning I was laying in bed on my back. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. The sun is piercing through my window blinds, and I'm sick. And I hear a mattress indentation coming from the left side of the foot of the bed. A mattress goes down, heavy indentation. And then all of a sudden, I hear a male voice say, "Leave him alone." And that mattress indentation rose up and disappeared. It was gone. And because I haven't been sick since then, I have not heard that male voice. This is a new male voice. I've never heard this male voice and all the other male voices I've heard. This was a firm, deliberate, and it was like, you know, from the sound when he said "leave him alone," it sounded like he was implying. This is what my takeaway from him when he said that was, it sounded like he was implying we don't mess with them while they're sick when they're not 100%. We don't, you know, it was weird, but it was very forceful, very authoritative. It was very authoritative. So now I'm combining that with, you know, this mist because, you know, I know all the spirits attached to me are not all malevolent. They're not. I believe, and I firmly believe, had all the spirits attached to me been malevolent, even the ones that visit me while I'm sleeping, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I just wouldn't be here. I believe there are some who are watchers, who are guardians, if you will, or they are there to, hey, don't go too far, or hey, you know, stay within the rule book, if that makes sense. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm almost feel safe in saying, you know, I need more, you know, it's gonna sound weird, but I need more visits, but I'm almost safe to say the mist that was a protective, you know, to ward off. It's not 100% effective, obviously, because the mist. I mean, I've looked through historical records. I'm you know, digging in Native American culture and lore, and I'm trying. And I remember talking to some shamans because when they came to the Bothell house, the shamans laid me down. They laid me down. They did a ritual. And a part of that ritual involved them blowing smoke over me. They would smoke from their cigar or something, whatever they call that. They smoke with, and they would fill the room with it. And then they said, well, now we have to cleanse you. So they would lay me down. And so, hey, lay down, and they do the chants from head to toe. And then the shaman, from head to toe, very thorough, would, you know, he would take a puff of smoke in, and he would lay down close to my person, and he would blow the smoke in my face, like, you know, from head to toe. And that's what the mist reminds me of. And that's so, yeah, but I know it comes from them. It's not coming from my extremities or nose or mouth cavity. Um, but yeah, so I don't know.
Were you able to take a sample of the mist?
No, because you keep out, it's mist, and then upon body heat, mine, meaning my face, this evaporates very quickly.
Okay.
It's mist. It's not like I'm drenched in water. It's not like I'm soaking. It's enough to where it wakes you up. You know, you get a towel, you dab your face. It's gone. It's just a mist. It's barely even droplets. There's a few droplets in there, but I would say the majority of it's mist. But it's a lot. It's a lot. But it would never survive the extraction process because it's going to evaporate off my skin quickly in an instant, or cloth or anything like that.
Mm.
All right, so I have one other question here, and that is when the spirit was scolding you, there was a thing where I guess it was saying something like, if you wanted to get rid of me, you would have done it a long time ago, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever, I guess these encounters happened, you explained a bunch of them, but they happened more than what you like talked about here. So did you ever like get into any sort of like conversation with them? The one thought that came to my mind was when they were scolding you, maybe you would have like, spoke up and said something in your defense, or something like that. I guess my question is, was there any dialogue between you, in any of these cases?
No, the back and forth is very limited because, um, half the time I'm more in shock that they can read my mind because I've not really formulated my thoughts, and they are completing my thoughts, thus for providing an answer before I can even complete my thoughts. It's like they're one step ahead of me. Like I could be forming a thought of, oh, what do I want to eat tonight? And they're like, well, you had steak last night. You should eat steak tonight. And then and in my mind, I'm like, well, I was about to say I want steak. It's like they are one or two steps ahead. So when she scolded me, I was so taken aback by the scolding and the bluntness of it, and the fact that it came telepathically to me. And I didn't want, honestly, I didn't want to say, I didn't want to think another word. I was like, oh, because I sheepishly thought she's right. I really thought that. I was like, whoa, if I say something else, because one thing I know about these spirits and even these succubus, they're blunt. They have no filter. They they cut to the chase. Be careful what you ask them, because they're gonna tell you. I haven't, and I don't know if they're lying or telling the truth, but I have an EVP where I ask just a Q&A of, will I ever see my dad again? My dad passed away, and I asked him, will I ever see my dad again? Is there a heaven? And they were like, no, you're never going to see your dad again. It's a quick no. It's no. There's no heaven. And so I'm always taken aback. And it's like one of my favorite movies, A Few Good Men, where you can't handle the truth. So when she was blunt with me and said, well, you should just enjoy it, and she was implying, be lucky that it's happening to you. And if you could have gotten rid of us, you would have done it a long time ago. Meaning, there was a time I could have gotten rid of it. And I was taken aback by her bluntness coming telepathically. Keep in mind, I'm half asleep, semi-awake, and this angelic thing is talking to me. So I was, the only time I tried to engage them was the two scenarios I told you of when I'm looking dead at the one at the foot of the bed, and as I'm looking at her formulating my thoughts, she finishes it by saying, "We go around the world. We go around the world from house to house, and we find sexually deprived men." What another instance, the same one said was, what makes me and others easy to find, and I'm paraphrasing, is I have a signature on me. I have a like the survivors of Chernobyl. You have a signature on you, that frequency. How about that? You have a frequency on you that radiates, that we can see, that we can detect the world over. And we're here, we're going from here to there, and we just hopscotch. We just hopscotch the globe because we detect you by the ordeal that you lived through previously. You
Okay,
have,
so they're detecting you then? It's like you're tagged?
yeah, she was saying, she was implying you're tagged in our world, in their world. I'm tagged. You're tagged. We can see you from whatever celestial state they're in, but I am definitely tagged. She's not. You didn't call us here. You didn't summon us here. You're tagged, and we see. Therefore, we can. You're tagged. It's like you catch a dolphin, right, in the ocean, right? The National Geographic, they catch a dolphin, they tag its fin, right? They tag it, and they put it back in the ocean. And they can follow that tag. They don't necessarily have to be in the ocean anymore. They can go back to their lab and watch the dolphin travel all over the ocean, all over the world. But when they want to go back to that dolphin again, they know where it's at. They know where it's at. It's tagged. She was applying that you are tagged because you walked through our world or our experience by living in the Bothell house. Everything is in phases. This is a phase, meaning it was the malevolent phase, the Poltergeist phase, the minions, they do their thing, they're crazy, whatever. You saw the apparition, remember you saw her, Tina didn't. You've been bombarded more than Tina, and now you moved out of the Bothell house. You have attachments to you, you're tagged, and we can see you, and we can see others like you. If she really wanted to imply this, she was saying, don't think it's personal. Don't see yourself as, we're here because we have feelings. We're not here for feelings. We're here for energy. We're here to extract energy. And what I was saying earlier, they appear beautiful than the most beautiful thing ever in creation. That's how they appear. That's not how they actually are. The longer they were visiting me, the less beautiful they became because they started shedding them. Once they got me, sort of like the old expression we say in America, stick a fork in him, he's done, that old expression. You're ours now. We don't have to masquerade as Miss Universe anymore because you're ours. And their natural appearance is hideous. It's horrifying. They have stench, they have scales, they have feathers, they have crust and mildew and mold underneath their nails, and their hair hasn't been washed in 100 years, and they look strange, and their natural appearance, you would never be drawn in by how they really look. No way, you can say Keith all day, you would never be drawn in by their natural appearance. And that's why they have to come and play this dancing game of Keith and all this kisses and flowing hair and angelic voice and stuff, because you would never let your guard down if we approached you from day one on how we really look. Some of these entities, and it's gonna shock y'all say it, but it's the truth. Some of them, the succubus, have both male and female genitalia, and not necessarily in the places that you and I have ours. Okay, so they're demented. They're I don't know, they're very, they hideous, okay? They look like a bag of trash that's been left on the curb, rotting forever. But they can cover all that. They can transform and hide all that, but only for a period of time, to where once they got you in the trap that they got you in, then that beauty stuff starts falling by the wayside. They don't care anymore. The one I was talking, she's going to be like, we don't care, dude. We just enjoy it. You know, you get pleasure out of it. We're extracting energy from it. Don't ask too many questions. Just shut up. She said, shut up. And you know what? I did. I was like, oh, shutting up then.
In terms of the appearance, did you actually see them in this natural, what did you describe
yes,
it, bag of trash state or
yes,
ghoul or whatever it was?
yes.
You
On
did?
multiple, yes, yeah. Yeah, the picture, can y'all see my screen now? Can y'all see?
Yeah.
Yeah, the picture on the left is the most recent visit. This was early last week. This one, this is how her face looked. So the black triangles, she has feathers that fold onto her skin, and there's scales underneath. So this is my rendition of feathers. It's black, it's feathery by texture, but it folds over over scale like a reptilian scales. She has Bambi-like eyes, Bambi eyes. Like you remember the movie Bambi, has Bambi eyes, long, dark, sharp eyelashes, sharp. I mean, the eyelashes are sharp. You touch them, they cut you. They're just sharp. They're not like human eyelashes. They're almost the acrylic. The eyelashes are acrylic, and the eyes, you see the dots in the eyes I drew, they're like these, I don't know, it looks like asterisks on this picture, but they're these little black dots that look like an asterisk. That's all I can say. It looks like an asterisk. But and then the nose is very flat, very flat. I could not see two nostrils like we have two nostrils. I just saw a flat nose. I did see a ridge, so I drew the ridge, but it folds or lays onto the skin. The lips, I drew perked lips because the perked lips, as you see here, are because this one blew on me. This one blew a orange mist on me, orange, and it was wet. It was orange, and she blew that on me. And this one was mean. This one was mean, or even the one that told me to shut up. Yeah, she told me. This one was about 3 to 4 feet tall. This one, unlike the other ones who approached me while I'm always laying on my back, I was laying on my side. And as I was laying on my side, I remember the sun was coming up. The sun comes up about 4:45 or 5 a.m. in Seattle. And I can see my wall. I'm facing my wall in my bedroom. And I can see my silhouette. I can see the bed and me, my silhouette on the wall. And as she's blowing this orange mist on my face, I can see her. And her silhouette, I'm gonna say, yeah, I don't even know if it's her. I'm gonna say, yeah. I can see it silhouette above me. So as you can see on the picture to the right, what I saw was a short, small like silhouette, but it had wings because the wings were flapping. The wings were flapping, and then it blew the orange mist in my face. And then it was trying to leave, like maneuver to leave, like it was done. And then I, in my sort of like dream-like reaction state, sort of grabbed it or tried to hold it down. Why, I have no idea. And it admonished me physically. It was like, and it shook his head. It shook his head from left to right rapidly, and then it was gone. It was like it admonished me, like, and telepathically it said, "No, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that." And then, and it was gone. It was gone. But and then I drew. I drew both these pictures minutes within waking up because I didn't want to lose memory of them. Because usually when I see them, yeah, I can draw an abstract, but this is about the realest that I've ever been able to draw because the memory leaves you fast. It's not something that I could put off at the end of the day or lunchtime and say, I'm gonna draw this. No, I need to draw as soon as I experience, especially when I woke up, I went straight to pen and pad and drew. And just FYI, the other drawings and the diary of this whole encounter is in the second book. So if anybody got the attachment book, there's several chapters where this is at. This happened last week, so obviously it's not in it. But there's a page or two or a chapter or two in the back where I got in diary the visits of what they said, what they did, and how they looked like, how they smelled, and they're hideous. They're hideous by form. Sometimes it looks like two. I ain't gonna say human beings, but I'm gonna say like two humanoids into one, only because, like I said earlier, of having both male and female genitalia. And by that I mean it's not. Matter of fact, none of the genitalia, I'm talking about the reproductive organs of male and female, are never in the place of humans. I'm just leaving it at that. They're always in different portions of their body. Yeah.
Like on the foot or?
Torso, neck, back, hip, waist, head. Yeah.
Keith, was there ever physical extractions? So did they ever, you know, I know if it's too personal, don't have to answer it, but did they ever make you ejaculate physically?
Yes. More often than not, yes. 90% of the time, yes.
Was there any extraction from, did they take any of the physical?
Yes, all the time.
So they actually take the sperm away like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, so that's very physical. I'm just thinking about ETs as well, like breeding programs and.
Some would extract, some or you know, when they kiss you, I don't want to be too graphic, but as they're kissing you, they're extracting. And you or me, I'm in like a trance like state. You're frozen. You're frozen. Lips locked, you're frozen. You're in a, but my inner aura, and I hope it's the aura, but there's something in the human being, our soul or aura or energy, that kicks in the high gear. I call it our spiritual antibodies. It seems to respond to the extraction. And my body goes into overdrive and fights them off. You know, me, I'm sort of, you know, on the sidelines, not doing much, but my inner aura is kicking into gear. And most of the time it can, but they're not extracting very long. They know they got to get in and get out. So they're not extracting very long. And what they extract appears to be enough. Like I said, it's the reason why they're coming for repeated visits. So they know we can get a little bit every time. But going back, yeah, so as far as the male extraction or the semen extraction, they're doing both at once. There's the extraction from mouth to mouth, and then there's the extraction from the male semen. They're doing both at once. Most of the time, both are happening at the same time.
Wow. Interesting.
And Keith, Ian here. I know you're saying it's hard to ask questions. I guess the two questions that always come to mind, like who and why. I mean, do you think it's some alien breeding program?
Honestly, I don't know what it is. Like I said, there's a huge learning curve because they don't really divulge, I mean, or go into detail of why or the what and the why.
Could you write some questions on a bit of paper beforehand and see if they could answer them for you?
I've thought
like
about
leave it next to your head or something on your pillow.
I guess I try to have formulated questions. You know, I go to bed and I'm like, okay, like I said, I never know when they're going to come.
It's just that maybe I was just wondering if I know it's hard for you to ask those questions in the state that you're in. I just wondered if they could respond like visually, like a magnetic board or something. I don't know, have the questions have some yes/no answers?
Yeah, I mean, I could try. I could leave questions on the side of my bed. I can sort of replay the questions over in my head. I think if we're going to try to get answers from them, I need to somehow get maybe 5 questions into my psyche to where they can just tap it on sight. It doesn't need to be me while you're here, hey, I got a few questions, you might answer. I think because every time they talk to me, you understand, every time they talk to me, they're responding to my thoughts. So if I can have those questions at the forefront, and that's very hard to do. That's very hard to do when you're sleeping and being awakened like that. So it would have to be, these questions have to be at my forefront to where
Maybe write the questions on the ceiling, put it on a bit of paper on top of the ceiling so you're looking at it, so it is in your forefront. Think of the question.
I would have to be like a reminder, like I said.
Yeah, maybe put it above your head or something. So, and the other question I guess I had, I think you've answered it the last time we met, that if you try to videotape them, you are saying that they would just manipulate that, they can turn that off quite easily.
Yeah.
If you try to film them.
Yeah, I've gotten one EVP from a succubus. There is one EVP of a succubus. Got lucky. I have attempted to leave video cameras running continuously, like I leave my audio recorders running. But when I leave the video cameras running, 2 things happen. Either they don't show up, no visits, or that video camera gets manipulated. I've been visited, and I leak to the video camera and see what it got afterwards or in the morning. I'm like, okay, I had an episode last night. What does the video camera show? And I kid you not, the video camera shows dead battery, or there's a corrupt SIM card, or something like that.
Yeah, maybe you're saying that it might be worthwhile just having get a good quality CCTV camera installed. I know, just for your own benefit, and have it running 24/7, like on a and always have 22, 48 hours of video footage, and because you may seem that when the visits happen, it may just turn off those CCTVs. But if it's running 24/7, they may just get careless and forget one time.
Yeah, like I said, I've had video of 8 hours, 12 hours of running footage. Usually by the time of whatever visit or episode, the video turns to snow. It turns to lost content, or there's always some weird, it's weird. I don't know if it's because their energy and they zap it when they're in the rooms, therefore they zap that energy, because I kid you not, the video quality.
The other option I was thinking, Keith, too, maybe have a like sometimes, like some places have a live feed, right? So you have a live feed to a friend, someone you could trust, obviously, but you basically over a period of a month you'll be filming. You'll have this live, like a Keith cam, I guess, in your bedroom, and just have it going to like a trusted person, like someone you trust, to just co-monitor what's happening there. And
that's probably where we're headed. None of my friends would ever do that. They would never. But there are organizations, like I said, the SPR, the SSPR. We're in talks to everybody. COVID sort of put a damper on some of these things we had planned to do. Time difference, like I said, when it's night where I live, the only people who agree to remotely do something like that are half a world away, and it's daytime where they live. So they're like, well, I gotta work, I got a life, but none of my friends locally, nobody I talk to locally, would ever acquiesce to do something like that. But there are.
That would be obviously an invasion of privacy, but then maybe just for a limited period of time.
Yeah. Now there are YouTube videos on my videos on my YouTube channel of when I was living in the Bothell house, where Nikki Novelli and her paranormal team did do what you did, where they monitored me 24/7 for
Oh,
8 months. They monitored me for 8 months. Those videos do exist. It was not during the succubus visit. It was during the loud banging and the throwing of objects. And they did capture the loud banging and the throwing of objects by monitoring me. They had shifts. They had 3 shifts, and they did monitor me that way. Would they do it again for this? I could ask. They might. I could ask. But they got good data. They got the rapping noises, the loud banging. They caught the gray lady one time on my wall in my bedroom. They caught that, and this was through 24-hour monitoring. And one of the reasons why we think they were successful is it was them monitoring me from afar versus normally me monitoring myself. We thought we had a leg up, if you will, on the spirits because all the monitoring / technology, even though they're piping into my house with the feed, the technology is originating on their end. But and they manipulate it a few times. We have to reconfigure routers and cameras, and they go in there and change everything. But yeah, for 8 months, we got. I mean, it's a lot of video to watch, but it's priceless if you watch it. But could something be like that with this? It wouldn't hurt to try. My problem is finding a participant.
Yeah.
It takes an awesome amount of dedication. Trust me, it takes a lot because dedication, and I've not found that consistency as far as the dedication. Yes, good question. When I see them, like when I said, when they're at the foot of my bed, I can see my background room behind them at the foot of my bed. It's funny because they see, and that's what my second book cover. If you were to look at it, probably is a realistic depiction of the succubus in my room. The ones that are in bed with me are obviously extracting. The ones that are not are just sort of making themselves at home. And they do. They're just waiting on the one to get done. Either they're waiting on their turn or they're waiting for the final one to get done so they can poof and vanish together. But no, the background of my room, it's not like I'm in a room with all white or, the light or something. Or no, it's what I see is my room. I do see that. It was at the early on, it felt like it was in my mind's eye, meaning that the keys, the mattress indentation is definitely physical because I hear that. I hear that I've reduplicated the sound, and then I feel, even with the Keith maybe, I feel the breath on my ear. But I think it's half and half, because for a while, they would just make their way towards me and never manifest. They would never appear. It's like over time, as I develop a more tolerance or willingness to accept, they start appearing. And then when they start appearing, they're in full form. They're in full body. I mean, they're full body. And every now and then during the extraction, you know, there's touching going on. I can go down, you know, a collarbone, a shoulder, or an arm, and feel the smooth skin. And then as the extraction is proceeding, the skin that I'm feeling, you know, smooth skin, I feel the rugged, scaly, hairy, um, uh, pussy type of skin. And then I'm like, oh, you know, because I'm like, oh, it went from pretty to hideous on what it is I'm touching. And then they stop the extraction, and then they're gone. It's like I've broken the whatever, and then I'm just left there like looking silly because, you know, they didn't finish what they did. So yeah, there's been times where I've actually touched what feels like a woman's skin, but as I'm going up or down, then it quickly turns to feeling very animal, very, you know, rugged, you know, like 10 miles of bad road. Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
I'm taking it all in. I'm a little shocked actually to hear about the extraction part. That was a great question. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not really sure what to ask from there, so I'm just gonna be quiet.
Okay. Rob?
Keith, have you found any blonde hair samples for me yet?
No, Rob, and that sort of coincides like with the question of, you know, having questions to ask them before they arrive. Therefore, I know what to ask, you know, instead of being caught off guard. Interesting enough, right around the time you and I agreed to, you know, remember to extract hair, was when I stopped finding it. You know, and I don't know if the two are related, but I've not found hair or long hair, female hair since then. I'm not prone. I don't know if I even could, if I wanted to, just yank a fistful of hair. I don't even know if I even want to entertain that thought. But and then, like I said, the idea has never crossed my mind to do. But I don't know what the repercussions, if any, would be. I just know I might not be ready to handle the repercussions if I just grab a fistful of hair.
What about when you wake up, when the female succubus is left and you're covered in sweat? Do you want to get some sweat samples? Because we can distinguish your sweat from her sweat. We might learn something.
Honestly, there's no sweat. There's no perspiration. No.
Okay.
No, not to speak of. Even the mist in my face, like I said, this picture here, and I don't know what the orange mist or significance of the color orange, but it was orange, and it was mist, it was droplets, and she just gets in and gets out. But I don't know, you know, how I could extract it and it survive. I mean, it's going to travel to Australia, right? So I don't know how it could even travel to my postal down the street, but and that's sort of, you know, to their advantage, right? I mean, they are so, you know, even the minions or the Poltergeists in general, you know, some of the things they do we can never capture because it's just so, number one, it's instantaneous. It's spontaneity. They live and dwell in the world of spontaneity. You can never predict. And then that which you do predict changes the outcome. It's like the double slit experiment, right? When you're trying to predict the outcome of your electron, it changes on you. It's like, oh man, you've been going left all during this experiment. Now I got cameras on you. You want to go right. Or when I put cameras on left and right, you want to go up. You want to go down. When I put cameras everywhere, you don't go nowhere. So yeah, I really think it's almost, for lack of a better word, baked in that they have an exit strategy. They have, ways, to leave and not leave not much evidence behind. Somebody said, well, maybe they'll make a mistake. I've never known in the history of dealing with my ordeal, even in the Bothell, them to make a mistake. Poltergeist, they never make a mistake. They never. I hope they do. I wish they would, because that's the only way we're going to capture something is get lucky. Everything, even the EVPs and stuff they left. The EVPs that they left, me, Don, Steve, and every other paranormal team who came to the house, that's nothing to them, because they know we can't take that anymore. We can't take that to a court of law and say, I proved to you Poltergeist exists, because they know, yeah, we talked, y'all capture it. Okay, but it's insignificant to us. So yeah, if you got an EVP from us that said something, good for you. But is it a consequence to them? I don't think so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Keith, you mentioned yesterday that these beings, they're exist in another dimension. They can go through walls. They can potentially move things. And today you were describing how you were perceiving multiple subjects, some even training other like neophytes. And, I'm just trying to spin this a little bit. And you probably have already figured this out for yourself a little bit too, but it seems like if they're going all around the world, I think that's what you said, they were like going everywhere.
Yeah.
And and if they're basically covering the entire planet, well then maybe you encountered three of like a race of these beings, right? And if there's a race of these beings, then and they're extracting, it sounds like potentially the human race is sort of like honeybees. Like we are the honey and they are the farmers. I mean, did you ever, I know this sounds pretty wacky, but did you ever think about that?
No, that's an interesting analogy. That's a good analogy, actually, when you look at it, because you're right. According to them, what it said was, we travel or go up from, we globe trot across the globe, and we extract. And we extract energy, we extract essence, semen. These are the succubus. I'm assuming, and it's correct to assume, that the incubus is probably doing similar things. Similar. And you're right. Whatever they extract from us, like we extract, the bee extracts honey from the flower, but it's all part of the cycle of life, right? What would the world be without bees? So it's like, as these succubus extract our energy, it's almost like it's probably propagating them. This is probably, in a way, I hate to say this, we're food, okay?
Yeah.
We're food. I'm just gonna put that out there. We're just food, okay? Everything in existence lives off something else. Nobody has their own independent existence, right?
I get that. I believe that, there's like, parasites, right? Parasites
right,
can.
like a parasite, right? And they implied that. They're like, hey, don't get caught all up in, and I'm paraphrasing her telepathy, don't get caught all up in the personal department or the why me or why a beautiful woman descending on you, because trust me, that's not what we're about. We're not what they call it. We're not sex fiends. We're not sex hounds. We're food. You have a mark. You have a something that makes it stand out. Therefore, your food. We go from city to city, wherever we go, and we're there to extract. Okay, and the least you can do while we're extracting is enjoy. That's the least you can do. Now, I put in my book an analogy of like, the mosquito. The mosquito is a parasite, right? We all hate mosquitoes. Well, what I did not know, and I had to study mosquitoes, but it made sense once I learned it, is before the mosquito extracts blood from its victim, human or animal, it secretes a serum. It secretes a serum on the skin of its victim to numb the victim before the needle goes in. Because if the mosquito was to descend on you and just prick you with its, that little snout it got or whatever, if it was to prick you immediately, the mosquito would die. You would swat it and it'd be dead in an instant, because the natural reaction you would feel and you would swat it. Most of the times when we swipe at a mosquito on our arm, they've been there already, okay? The mosquito, nature gave the mosquito a serum to numb the skin to where it gives the mosquito 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 second head start before you, meaning us, knows it's there. Because that's the only way this extraction is going to work. If the mosquito has a serum to numb the skin, to tranquilize that little shred of skin before the needle goes in. It's not like the rubbing alcohol your doctor puts on before he sticks the needle. That's just to prevent infection. Now, the mosquito secretes a serum, then it goes in with its needle, then it extracts the blood. What they were doing with the keys and the whispers and the angelic voice and all that, that's, in metaphor terms, the serum. Because, like I said, I was telling that, had they just approached me looking like they really look, smelling like they really smell, feeling like they really smell, I would be running down the highway. I'd still be running. I'm like, where's Keith? Oh, yeah. He's running. He's still running. But they know that. So therefore, they have to come in under the cover of a serum, if you will, to get their extraction. But I think you're right. We're just, from a parasite, we're just food. I mean, they're parasites of a different level. The physical world, the medical, whatever, spiritual world, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the short word is they're just parasites.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Have you seen the movie Doctor Sleep? Anyone here seen it?
Yeah.
You have? Anyone else?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have not.
Oh, you haven't. It has similar themes, hasn't it? Like this group of people travel from place to place and they find victims and they seduce them and then they extract their essence. Some of them, they torment them physically, emotionally, psychologically, and they feed off that fear as well. That movie came to mind.
It's called Doctor Sleep, the movie?
Yeah, Doctor Sleep.
It's actually a very good movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite frightening, but yeah, it's a good movie. Is it a Stephen King?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, you gave me homework. Good.
Yes.
So this is starting to sound more and more ET like, because if I'm
very much so, very much. I was getting ready to say that. I'm glad you said that. Very much so. Yes.
Because if they're like gathering for who, right? Gathering for who? There must be buyers. There's some organization that wants this. And if they want this, they're supplying this thing. This sounds more and more extraterrestrial to me.
Well, the training, I call it the training day. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
When the one scolded the other, that threw me. I was thrown aback by that, because it was sort of the admonishment, the scolding, the teaching And she was saying, or it was saying to the other one, there was energy draining me for so long. We can't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that to them. And she, I mean, she got her off. This is physical. She got her off. She said, we don't. And I got the sense, had she not done that, that would have left me severely impaired.
Mm.
Because she admonished us that we don't know, we're not here to leave these, physically impaired. And once again, going back to that National Geographic analogy, every time you see some scientists capture an animal, what's their number one concern when they capture an animal before they tag it? We don't want to injure it. We don't want to wound it. We just want to get in and get out and return it back to the wild. You catch a fish out of water, we just here to tag it, get it back into the water right away. We don't want to keep it out on land too long. Dolphin, whale, whatever. It's like, from the hierarchy of when one comes in to extract from another, there are responsibilities and rules in place where we don't want to physically impair it, because then we're in the wrong. And she's scolding the underling, who was scolding her, teaching her, also teaching and scolding her at the same time of what we do and what we don't do. And the other one was very acquiescent, very submissive, and was taking mental notes. And I'm just in the midst of it, like, I don't believe this. I can't believe this is happening. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's just fascinating because so much of the elements of the story, like the gentleman said, sounds ET, but then some are just markedly not. The extraction definitely, but one thing that comes across in a lot of the abduction stories is screen memories or memories being altered, or people having no recollection of the event, which you don't sound to. It doesn't seem that this is a problem for you at all. You seem to have a very clear, cogent recollection of it, yet still some of these elements sort of line up, which just makes me throw my hands up. And I don't know what to say, but just it's fascinating. It's fascinating that these roads, they sort of come to this big giant intersection, and I'm not sure what it all means, but I'm all ears, my man.
Yeah, it throws you for a loop. It still throws me for a loop because I have front row seats, right? I'm sitting in the front row of a high definition extraction, and my mind is blown by the telepathic portion of it. My mind is blown by both the image portion of it and the realization of what these things actually look like, the conversations they have back and forth, the mist in front of my face, the some are 5'8", some are 4'3", some are 5'2". Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. This one, I'm thinking I'm going down this road of, I think I may have had something figured out. They come and do something that just totally destroys what I thought I was onto. So yeah, I can't predict. I will tell you, there is no, we're just going to talk about how does it happen more during the summer, winter months, fall months. I can find no correlation based on weather conditions. I can find no correlation based on season. I can find no correlation based on the day of the week. I really can't. Or if I'm going to bed more tired than usual, or if I drink coffee before going to bed, if I drink tea before going to bed, then I have a bad day. There's no, I can figure out no rhyme or reason of what creates a visit, except to say they just visit. Yeah.
But there is a correlation in time, right? You were talking about 3 to 5 a.m.
Yes, I do. There is a correlation between, as far as how often, what time of morning it occurs. I pinned that down. It happens between the 3 to 5 a.m. And I don't have my notes with me, but I do know, as far as, they was talking about, for human, there's 4 levels of sleep, right? It's 4. I don't know the particular order or the names they call them, but they seem to want to appear in that latter portion, whatever that is, that latter REM sleep or whatever. I think it's the third or fourth phase of when we all go to sleep. Of you're sleeping, you're in a deep slumber, now you're in the dream state, then there's the awakened state. They always come in between the dream and the awakened state. Yeah, they do that. It's like they're waiting. I'm glad you brought that up, Dawn. It's like it's like they are waiting because now I don't hear Keith anymore. I did. They don't say Keith. They don't sing lullabies or anything like that. Now, if I was to sleep, and I never sleep on my back, but occasionally I will. Occasionally, we find ourselves on our back. We don't know how we got there. Occasionally, when I find myself turning over onto my back, they descend on me. It's like they're already there. Like, he's on his back, get him. Because let me tell you, all visits happen, with the exception of this one right here, with me on my back. I do have to do. I have to be on my back. There is no extraction ever, or no extraction ever initiated, talking about sexually, with me on my side. This one blew mist in my face, but there was nothing sexual that happened before or after. It blew mist on my face and it was gone. The sexual extractions, I'm always on my back. It used to say Keith, and that would somehow tranquilize me to get on my back. But now they don't even say Keith anymore. But now when I get on my back and I'm asleep when I do it, it's not something I purposely do, then they descend. It's like they're like waiting. And I almost forgot to mention this. Even during nap times, this is not always a night thing. This can also happen, meaning succubus have appeared during the middle of the day of taking 1, 2, 2.5 hour nap, especially if I'm sleeping on my back. Yes. Yeah, my defenses are definitely down. And some of it, they're very knowledgeable of the human, sleep experience or whatever, or what all the things that need to happen while we sleep or whatever. And that's why I believe they encounter me toward the early portion of the morning versus the early portion of night. It's not like as soon as my eyes close, here they are. No, it's usually the early portion of morning that they come. And I am in a relax. We as humans, when we sleep, we're very relaxed, probably about the 4th, 5th, 6th hour of our sleep, if we get that much, to where we are very relaxed. The brain is, working less than it ever is, but there is a dream state. And they seem to descend and know perfect timing how to do that and take advantage of that. Like a parasite would, right? Like a parasite would, if it's going to be considered for survival's sake a good parasite, it's got to be able to know when to go in to extract something, or it's not going to be a parasite very long. They do seem to know that better than I know it, obviously, and take advantage of it. Like I said, they get in and get out. They're not real big on small talk or small telepathy, unless you really got something, burning question or something. They'll throw you a bone here and there, but their goal is to get in and get out, and bye bye. They don't wave as you're leaving. They don't say thank you. They don't say thank you, and they just get in and out. They just get in and out. Pretty much. See you. I don't want to be. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Keith, what did this latest one, the feathery one, what did she or he say to you telepathically?
I can barely remember what it said, except for the fact that I can summarize, but I can't remember the words exactly. I was for the first time ever, I was concentrating on the silhouette that I drew here and then the face. But I remember since I've been bombarded with them thousands of times, I remember I'm laying on my back, and this is through mist in my face. It spit mist in my face. And I remember my reaction as it was on me, and I'm seeing the silhouette on the wall. I held on to it. I was proceeding to turn on my back, thinking that, okay, all right, I'll punch in. You're here to do what you do, or what y'all do. And it was like, no. It was like, no, I'm not here for that. Get off me. Get off me. Don't touch me. It was like that. It did not want to he did not want to make physical contact. How about that? And the fact that I was sort of keeping it there longer than it wanted to be there, it admonished me in a physical sense of like, no, I'm not here for that. No, don't touch me. And I was like, you know, this when it threw the mist on my face, almost woke at the point. Then felt, you know, oh, they're not. Oh, this is weird. She doesn't look like the other one. Way smaller than the other one. She's like 3 feet, 4 feet tall. I never really saw wings before. You know, what appeared to look like wings did on a silhouette. But no, she wanted to get in and out. But I got the sense that she was not there. And it's true, she was not there for sexual extraction. Like I said, every time for sexual extraction, I'm always on my back. And the ones that blow mist on my face have always never gotten sexual extraction. They blow water or wet substance on my face and they're gone. The mist is not a tranquilizer to begin extraction. They just blow it. And that's what I was saying earlier about, I don't know if that's a defensive or a shield or a protection, because every time it happens, it reminds me of what the shaman did with the smoke. It really does. It's almost identical. If you take away the water or the liquid, it's almost identical what the shamans were doing.
Interesting. I just want to tell you a very quick story. I met a lady, and her sister was doing a documentary some years ago in Vietnam about men who marry ghosts, like ghost women. And it was like quite a kept secret, but when they married the ghost women, they would have a lot of success in careers, and you know, a lot of positive things would happen. You know, they'll have, you know, really good luck in things. So that was like their reward. And they can take a physical wife as well, but every month or so they have to go away for 2 or 3 days and spend time with that ghost without their wives. And then they'll come back and their wives would understand, like it's an agreement. But when this lady was filming the documentary, she had a lot of bad luck. Like there would be, you know, accidents happening all the time. She'd go into debt, or just a lot of bad luck. So in the end, she abandoned the documentary and didn't finish it. But yeah, I don't know. That just came to my mind that there seems to be all sorts of relationships with interdimensional beings and ghosts, and I know some people do take on a ghost lover, but I think that one is a bit different. What you're going through seems to be more like they want to extract something from you, and that's it. They don't want a relationship.
Joyce,
Exactly.
that documentary, that sounded pretty interesting.
Yes, maybe I'll try and track the lady down, but they just have so much bad luck that they just don't want anything to do with it anymore. But maybe she may talk. I'll try and find her name and see if she wants to.
Was this like a Netflix or a YouTube sort of a thing, or?
It didn't even get that far. She was in the stage of filming in Vietnam, and this was many years ago. She was just filming and she did not finish the documentary.
Where did the men go? You said the men would leave for a few days to go be with their ghost women. Where did they go? Like to the hills, to the mountains, or where were they going physically? Or
I don't know. That's a good question. I had the impression that they'll go somewhere like a countryside, or like some hotel, like spend time away in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
But
That's interesting. There's no similarities with my ordeal, except with the exception of the interdimensional piece. The maneuverability. Like I said, when the women or when the its were done with me, you know, they don't walk out of my door. They don't walk out of the front door. They don't go crawl out the window. they never crawl through the window. It's poof, you're here, poof, gone.
Yeah.
They disappear within an eye blink. The slightest thing, they're gone. You know, if like I said, if my alarm went off, because you know it not only it breaks the concentration, it probably has to be a certain level of concentration for this to work, and it doesn't take much. If my alarm went off, if a car horn went off or a car backfired, that's all it took to break the hold, if you will. It's not like alarm go off and they're like, can you do something about that alarm? Or I turn the alarm off and they resume. You know, we've all been in meetings, right? Somebody's cell phone go off and then you like wait for them to take care of it and then the meeting resumes. No, it's done. They're done. Nothing happens that day. Oh well, you know, for good or bad, nothing happens. The extraction was spoiled. Better luck next time. So yeah, and then they don't leave. They don't. I never saw. They don't walk like you and I walked into rooms and stuff. And so definitely some interdimensional ability, capability. I never felt like I never felt like I was taken somewhere for this to happen. Everything I've told you tonight has happened to my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, and I swear to this, in my bedroom. It's not like I'm teleported or beamed up somewhere and then brought back. You know, they descend on me, descend on the bed, and disappear right after.
But the intriguing thing about your case is they actually extract physically.
Yes.
You know, there's physical extractions, which intrigues me. If there wasn't any, then I thought, okay, yeah, maybe they are interdimensional. Well, you know.
Well, just like Rob was saying, there's the physical extraction of me, and up until the point where it was Rob's idea to try to get some of their hair, there was some hair being left from them. The mist is physical. The mist or whatever liquid they blow on me,
it's hair.
It is physical. It's just hard to capture and take to a laboratory. But yeah, they were the hair.
But you,
and I don't know if they like
take the hair. You weren't.
Yeah,
able
I missed that. There's hair samples left, or you're finding hair.
Yeah, so early in me and Rob had this discussion early on because I emailed him back and forth during, I guess, when all this started, when I moved into the second place of residence. I was finding hair left on my person, meaning on my physical person, or left on the bed. And I was emailing Rob saying, I don't know where this hair has come from. I'm finding hair, and it's always after these instances. And that's where the idea came to where the next time you find hair, put it in a Ziploc bag and email and send it to Rob. And I told him I would. Unfortunately, once we came up with that strategy, I stopped finding hair. They still visit me, obviously, but I've not found hair since. And I always find it's the darndest places. It's definitely not Tina's. I've been single since Tina. It's not a woman that I know here is hair. I would admit to that, but it's not. And I will find the hair in the darndest of places, and always after one of these events, like immediately after, like if the succubus left, and then it's morning, right? So I got to go take a shower, right? I got to go take a shower. So I'm pulling hair off my person. I'm pulling hair off me, off my arm, off my lower extremities. I've not been with anybody. I live alone. I've not been with anybody. This hair, this is long hair. This is long female hair, long hair. And right when I was, when I met Ra, I told him about these instances. We came up with a plan of saving them because I would just find them and flush down the toilet they go. But then he was like of the sense of, because he had a theory that he's working on about the preservation of the hairs and to send him. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, well, the next time I won't be so quick to flush it down the toilet, but that I've not had that happen since.
Mm. Damn.
That is interesting.
Striking correlation between the alien hair sample in Bill Chalker's book, Hair of the Alien, and the striking similarity between what Keith's experiencing now and which is commonly reported in the alien abductions. All seems to be about sperm collection.
Indeed.
Mm.
Keith, question. When you say extraction, now I'm going to assume that there is, how do I say? When meaning there's nothing left. It's extracted. It's gone. There's nothing left. There's no other evidence in the room. It's gone with them. Am I to take that the extraction leaves with them?
Correct. Yes. There's no the extracting leaves with them. Sort of like the hair. There's no remnant, if you will, of leftover. It leaves with them.
That's remarkable. Do you have any missing? I mean, this is early morning time. I know that's those twilight hours. The time is often like lucid. Do you feel like you have a good sense of time, the duration of these events?
First, I didn't. Toward the latter, I started to be cognizant and try to remember in my brain, take mental notes while it's happening of how long this is happening. There's going to be two answers to that question. Some of it, like I said, when there was 3, it was never more than 3. When it was 3 there present, the time I could say realistically, and talking about in our world, probably about an hour to an hour and a half. In the metaphysical portion of it, in my brain or my spirit or whatever,
right,
it feels like eternity. It feels much longer than that. Sometimes when it's just one, and this is real crucial, when it's just one, and this is when they've been visiting me a long time, when it's just one, there have been times where I've woken up out of sleep or REM or whatever, out of sleep or whatever, and they've been at it a while already. They don't necessarily need me to be awake to extract. I know that sounds weird, but they don't necessarily need me. It's probably they're thinking it's good if you want pleasure out of this to be awake, Keith, but we really don't need you awake. There's been times where I've awakened and they're done. This is the best part. If it were a movie, we're at the credit scene, and they don't. Sorry you missed it. Sorry you were asleep. But that's how I say that because I want y'all to understand. That's how coy and evasive and intrusive they can be. They can in stealth. They're very stealth. After the 200th time, they really don't care whether I'm awake or not. And me being running on 4 hours sleep from the previous night with the minions who are beating me up too. Don't forget about them, they're beating me up too. I really don't care. And they know that. They know that you're being bombarded by the other guys, the minions. They know you're tired. And I've woken up, they've extracted from me male semen, and they're like, oh well, credits, you missed it. We're done. We're gone. And there's no. But wait a minute. But wait. There's no none of that. They're gone. And that's sort of happening toward. That's sort of where the phase I am now. That's sort of where most of the time when I get visits now, they're done when I wake up. They're just done. They're just like, hey.
Wow. Wow.
Keith, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you tell us, do the succubus have a distinctive smell?
Yes, not all, some. the ones that look the most hideous have a very putrid smell.
Bad.
I'm not going to say rotting flesh because I know what that smells like when I smelt that in the Bothell house. So I have something to compare it to. I would say it smells like trash that's been sitting that needs to go out. It's been sitting for 2 weeks or so. It's very putrid. Yeah, it's bad. It's not like what's that smelling salt that you give a boxer when he's been knocked out. It's not that stinky, but it's just sweaty. It's like somebody hasn't had a bath in a month, like they ran a marathon and decided to spend the night with some pigs, and you know, decided to run another marathon, and it's just smelly. It doesn't smell good.
When it started, did they, when the sex was good and they were gorgeous looking women, did they smell good?
Yes.
Ah,
Smell like a world full of roses.
okay.
Right. Yeah.
All part of the deception.
Yes.
They got lazy.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because this is true. There's a pleasant, flowery smell, perfumey smell that goes with the Keith and the angelic and ambient voice and all that, right? That smell, unlike all the other things, smell for some reason is easy to remember, at least it is for me. I can catalog it good. I think we all have some sort of thing in our brain. We can catalog smell very well to where if we smell it again, we're like, aha, So there have been instances where I'm just in my home cooking dinner or watching TV, doing laundry, where if I turn a corner or something, I smell that smell. I smell that fragrance. And my brain recollects to one of the visits, like, and this is midday. This is not even close to night. I'm like, oh, which, makes me think, are they here? Are they here right now? Are they, waiting? Because keep in mind, every time, well, most of the time, once I turn on my back, they're on me like, ants on candy. They're just, there's no, time does not elapse. They're there. So, which makes me think they're just waiting in the winds or waiting in the wings, if that makes sense. But yeah, I've smelled the smell in other parts or other times of day sometime.
Okay, thank you.
I've just realized we are going over time. So how's everyone for time? Should
Yeah.
we do another 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
10 minutes?
I just want to point out that among the remote viewing community, there are some who claim to have visitations by ETs. And I thought it was very curious when you described the succubus as having a putrid smell, because they were describing these ETs as having dirty diapers, unwashed, like they hadn't taken a shower in a long time. There is an interesting correlation here.
I would agree with that.
And I think, yeah, I think so. I believe that. I think it's important to always call out the correlation on anything to sort of advance the dialogue on, like I said, me as an experiencer, I don't know if it's ET, demons, whatever, humpback whale, I don't know. I can only give you the realist, based on my observation, based on what I've seen, smelt, or whatever. But it's good to connect the dots because, like I said, most of what y'all told me, and y'all been studying this longer than I have. So some certain things I tell you, I can tell, y'all recollect because y'all compare it to what y'all heard in other stories, other cases, other reported instances. And you're right, there is a correlation. But yeah, so yeah, the putrid smell, is real, as well as the frequency smell. But like I said, that all wears off, or is a mirage, if you will, just to lure you in, to make you a willing participant. But I do think, whatever y'all take from this, it might be, it probably is, in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't surprise me. Their capabilities far exceed our own in more ways than one. And that should say something, their capabilities, like our capabilities over the earthworm.
Right.
So, right, we got to look at it in those terms.
And Keith, if I could just throw this anecdote out, I didn't want to be out of place with it because obviously, you're talking about your experience, but I have to say, on the extraction thing, probably the most disturbing part about it is extraction is huge in the abduction community. Well, for me, for one thing, the first abductee in the continental United States was Barney Hill. Black postal worker. And what's important about that isn't just that he was Black and he was a postal worker. It's the fact that a key element that we owe Barney thanks for is that when he first came out with his story, and people may know this, he was very embarrassed about the extraction part of what happened to him. So if memory serves, when the first version of the book was going to come out, that was going to be included. Barney Hill was adamant to have that removed. And that's important because for abduction research, for years after that, people always assumed that the extraction part of the abduction thing was something that was sort of made up, sort of whimsical, sort of crazy. But when Betty Hill's niece, Kathleen Martin, released the book here recently, she revealed that the first abductee, Barney Hill, did in fact have an extraction. And it sort of validated extraction in the whole scheme of the abduction phenomenon. So to kind of hear this as a part of what you're going through, I want to call it UFOs, but, of course, so many other things don't correlate. But, that extraction part is just a bugger for me.
Well,
that is good info.
Well, you're gonna like this then, because we're going. Well, like I was saying, attachments to the second book, I talked very extensively and very detailed about the extraction. And keep in mind, it was hard to write that. I ain't gonna lie. It was hard when I got to that chapter or chapters. Oh man, I wrangled with it because I'm like, I have family. Okay, my mother was still alive.
I know, man. I know.
I got
It's hard enough.
Cousins and they read my books. And everybody believes Kiefer. And the mind only goes so far. And in me, I got a job. I got coworkers and people who buy my books and read my books. So I'm going out there way on a limb, right? People are like, well, I can take this ghost stuff so far, but then you get to this extraction chapter. I can't tell you how many times I got phone calls or emails in the middle of the night from friends or family or people who bought the book who got to that chapter, and they were like, "Whoa." Some had a hard time getting through, and it's a tough. Even when I reread it, it's a hard few chapters to get through because I wanted to be very deep. I pulled no punches. I'm like, if I'm going to do this one time, I'm going to just say it all. World be damned, world hate me, laugh at me, whatever. But I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it because like you said, I know I'm not the first person that this has happened to. I refuse to believe I'm the first person. I'm not special. So You're right. Somebody, like the name you mentioned, I never heard that name before, but I know somebody has had this happen to them, and I know it's going to mean something to somebody because someone's out there with a chalkboard connecting the dots, and they're gonna like, oh my God, okay, we got this extraction over here, we got it over here, and it's gonna make more sense to them. But just let you know, it was hard to write, and I'm very descriptive. I mean, when I published the book in Amazon, they review all content, right? I got a few emails from Amazon. They were like, wait, you need to make it NC-17. Make it NC-17 because, and they were right, because I did not want this in a 14-year-old or younger's hands. But and it's not me being detailed oriented for, graphic or sexual pornographic reasons. It's just me telling the truth. Okay.
Right.
It's me giving it how it happened. I described the smell. I correlated to what we all smell in our daily lives and what stench is, and I related. But it was hard to write for the simple fact that I know the eyes who are going to read this and come to me with questions. So it was interesting when Joyce said we're going to do this again, and this was going to be the subject matter. I had to get right in my head like, oh man, whoa, boy, Succubus, wow, okay. How far do I want to go with description?
I'm glad you did, Joyce. Good call, Joyce. Good call, Joyce. I'm glad you did, man.
Yeah, well, it's such an interesting subject, and I just hear lots of stories about it of people experiencing, similar things, or very similar things. And
I have to say this. There's embarrassment is a big inhibitor for people. And, a lot of people don't want to admit to certain things because of embarrassment. But like what's coming out in this thing, and I'm tying these threads together, like I was mentioning with the remote viewing people and the ET people, there's a thread that's starting to like form in my mind of what's going on here. And I think it's like you need somebody to come forward. And I'm really happy that you did, Keith. And that business about the hair, that is also very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important, especially for males on this side of the game, to talk about this kind of thing. It's always the male stuff. It's hard to get through. But I'm like I said, I'm glad you talked about it, and that's why I brought up Barney Hill, because 1961, many years ago, it was tough for him then. But thankfully, later on, that information came out. So now that you're talking about this later, we can connect those two things. We don't have an answer, but we can still ask the question, what the hell is going on here?
Exactly right.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Keith, for opening up and sharing such personal, intimate experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Learn from it, and that, like you said, there'll be someone in another part of the world or close to you that may be experiencing the same thing, and they won't feel so alone. And break out from the taboo subject.
Keith, are you going to be emailing us those like YouTube links, like in the first part? Because those
Yes,
were good.
I'm going to be compiling. It probably take me 2 days to do it. The two PowerPoints and the links associated with them of the the voices, the EVPs, and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be coming like in a bundle. I'll send it to Joyce, and because she has everybody's attendee list. And
Another thing that came across too, I don't know if anybody else thought of it. It's a lot of not a lot, but certainly some of what Keith was describing. I can't quite separate from what I see happening at Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the book or watched the series, but people seem to encounter things there, strange phenomenon there. Then when they go home or they go to other places, all of a sudden the phenomenon has traveled with them. It has attached themselves to them there. I don't know where else you could stick that, but it's good to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I get emails from all over the world where people tell me your case, Keith, under your case reminds me of Skin
Dude,
Walker Ranch.
yes, yes.
Multiple continents, people who have no skin in the game or know each other, tell me they're like, whoa, this, one is well known, one is not so well known, but the similarities are so uncanny. People tell me that.
Mm.
Right. They had one of the scientists, he was more of a skeptic to the spiritual side of what was going on. And he had some of the strongest reactions. And Keith, let me tell you, he's the star of the show, the white guy scientist. He's good. And I've caught him on other YouTube programs. I've caught him on other interviews. And he is adamant that, his skepticism, kind of like what you were talking about yesterday, where you would advise people against maybe speaking too forcefully to spirits and things of that nature. Well, he kind of did that at the ranch. They intimated to this person, hey, look, the ranch has to like you. I mean, this person was kind of blowing this off. I mean, in the first season of the show, and he walked away with injuries. And not only did he have strange radiation injuries, he had strange things happening to his car. His radio wouldn't work but it would only happen negatively in his car when he was driving. If his daughter was driving his car, no electrical problem.
Yeah.
But if he's driving the car, all kinds of problems. And this continues with him, and he talks about that kind of on the side. I don't think he'd make that up, So I can't help but look at the similarities and just go, wow. So yeah, props to you, Keith. Great job, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We might wrap it up now. It's been, 3.5 hours? It's a lot to take.
Good.
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm going to be processing it for the next few days.
Good job, Keith. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. You're welcome. Yeah, and thank you, everyone, for joining. And I'll send you the list of stuff from Keith and stay in touch.
All right. Good night, everyone. Or
Yeah.
good morning.
Good night.
All right, see
Good
you
night. Take care.
Good.
later.